comfortable position. Leave everything of the outside world right where it is. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and be at ease. Breathe easily and freely, deeper than you normally would, exhaling more than you normally would. Imagine now the silver cord that emanates from your heart and connects you with all life. Not just all people, but every living thing. Acknowledge what science has already demonstrated, that everything is connected. Acknowledge your place along that web that connects us all. Consider for a moment that there are not only people who think like you along that web, but people who don't. And decide right now whether or not they are worthy. And I hope you decide that they are. That even though they wear a mask of hate or division, it's a mask. It's not real. It doesn't belong to them. It was given to them by somebody else. And they were told to wear it. And for whatever personal reasons, they decided to do so. But even the ones who manufactured that mask are on this web too. And there's something very, very important I want you to remember. They do not have the power to make you less loving. Think about that. All that you've read, all of the anger, all of the resentment, all of the pseudo-rhetoric that says that this is why that loving idea doesn't work, or that that's just something that shouldn't be, have you for one moment become less loving because of it. They do not have the power to make you less loving. But you have the power to make them more loving. You do. Every single person who is in your life who holds that way of thinking, they are connected to a particular web of consciousness, and that person is your doorway into it. Send love into that doorway. When you shake somebody's hand who violently disagrees with you, send love into their hand. When you feel as though you obligatory must hug someone at a family party that you know their politics and it makes you angry, send love into that web through them. You have the power to affect it. They do not have that power in return. Imagine it now for a moment. Imagine the power you have to change the system without doing anything more than scouring the earth with your presence. You think it's not true? It is. You think you don't have power? You do. Protests are good. Petitions are good. Voting is great. But it has nowhere near the power of just you being a loving countenance in the face of fear. That is what will change this world. Take one final breath and return. I thought a lot about today's message, and I hardly came up with a darn thing. Because I came up with so many things that I almost didn't know what direction to take, and so I started to think that maybe New Member Sunday is a day to decide what we want to be when we grow up. I know we're 372 years old, but I don't think we look a day over 250. But what do you want this congregation to be? Because like I said earlier, this is our clubhouse, right? I mean, we get to be ourselves here. And we get to make the rules of welcoming with a capital W. So, what do we want? Because we're not the same as we used to be. This is not the same congregation it was when even any of us in this room were born. That was a congregation that had its foot in the old world. And I'm not saying that the things of the old world were all bad. There are some things of the old world that we really should make sure we continue. And some things we know it's time to let them go. And all those prophecies of Armageddon and all of these the Mayan calendar and all these things, were they really predicting the end of the world or the end of the old ways? Because it is undeniable that in front of all of our faces, the world has changed. What we want, what we think we should be, what our parents told us we must do, these things have changed. I credit the internet for what it's worth. And it's a messy, messy thing. It's taught us not only how much we have in common with people all over the world, it's also taught us just how ugly we can be. Has that ugliness made you ugly? Think about that. Like I said in the meditation, has it made you less loving? Has it transformed you into somebody who is hateful? I don't think so. I know they don't have the capacity to make me less loving. And so all of that effort, you see the amount of effort they have put in to making you feel like you're wrong for being welcoming, for being loving. Not everybody does this. This is a paintbrush with gaps. Not everybody. Some people are just confused by the shift in the world. And some people are afraid. And the more afraid they are, the more afraid they want you to be too. And wedge issues get created in politics so that we are divided. And all of that still hasn't managed to make us less loving. So, 21st century, new rules, new church. What do we want to do with it? What do we want to bring to this table and say, how about we try this? Because I know that in my last 6 years here, there's a whole bunch of new stuff around. The bee run, for instance. And you know that gave birth to a pollinator ministry. You haven't heard me say that term much? I've been writing about it. But that's what we've done. We've created a pollinator ministry. Something that we can grow on. No pun intended. But literally, something there. Something that has a beautiful intersection of our actual history from when they discovered a colony of 100,000 bees in our steeple and stuck the queen bee in a truck and drove her down the street, and the colony followed. That's the birth of our bee run, the story that we tell. And at the same time, it gives us the opportunity to say, wait a minute, but there are other things too that are meaningful to us that we can inhabit, embody, enliven. We can get people to plant more stuff. We can stick a bat house out in our yard, even if we don't know whether or not a single bat will move into it, there's a ripple effect to that intent. And if after another year or so a bat doesn't move into it, we'll move it. We'll try something new. Because we're not afraid of change. We're not afraid of having been wrong. That's the great thing about us now being the shared caretakers of this very august institution. So we get to make all those rules. And we get to decide when something's not working. And when one of you has an idea, if I haven't proven to you by now that we're going to try it, I don't know what more I can say. But if you have an idea, tell me. Tell a standing committee member. Write it on a piece of paper and tape it to the door. Mail a letter, send an email. Give me those ideas. Because this is your church. And this is how we see what we will be when we grow up. And this isn't just for what happens to this church or this building or this institution. This is literally about you as individuals. What do you want to be when you grow up? And how do you want to practice it here? When you decide, Vince, that you want to go to law school, you came up and lit a candle about it, right? And John, when you had the idea for that story for all ages, where I brought back out the sluggard's wand and taught the kids that you can pollinate like a bee, that was your idea. Sharon Bernard, who was the retired director of the library in Fitchburg, messaged me. She comes here frequently and she's like, I got this great reading for you. We read it today. That's how we develop our clubhouse. So that not only it has the ability to continue to thrive into the 21st century, but that we can restore ourselves by remembering that they don't have the power to make us less loving. Because we forget that all the time. I like to think of us as the second passenger in a roller coaster car where the other person in the car is afraid of heights. We have the capacity to calm them, to soothe them. They don't have the power to make us more afraid. And when we come here into this building and get reminded of the things that we forget, and that even I forget, it restores us to that job. It reminds us, oh yeah, that's right. I'm the one in the roller coaster car who's calm. I'm the one in the roller coaster car who remembers that we do get into the station at the end of this ride unscathed, and that there is a seatbelt and a shoulder harness that keeps us in place, and all shall be well. I'm the one whose job it is to remember that, because we forget it, and we will forget it, and we'll forget it next week, and we'll forget it next week, and we'll come back and be reminded, and we'll be reminded that our anger can be misused. Because anger has its place. But we have to remember not to misuse it. Because fire does not fight fire. Only water does. Be water. And every time you forget that you are water, come back. Because I will remind you. It's my job to remind you. Because I need the reminder myself. And I remind Jamie all week that he's water. And that he has the power to affect change in a way that fire will never do. They want you to be on fire. Don't give them that. Give them water. Because they are thirsty, not just burning. We can empower the interdependent web of all existence simply with our presence and by remembering what our job is. And so if you ask, what is this church's job in the 21st century? It is to remind us all, every time we come here, that our job is so much easier than we think. Our job is to remain calm and to remain peaceful and loving. And we need each other to remember it. Because so many parts of this world would have us think otherwise, and it's just not true. And we like to reduce it to thinking it's about politics. It's not. It's just about the fact that with things like the internet, we have grown into a place where we can find out anything. And we can also be victims of misinformation. We can be victims of people's fear and anger, and that they are unfettered in their ability to tell us exactly what they think. And we can say to them, as Danielle did to me, where's Danielle? Oh, Danielle went out with the kids. I sent an email this week and there was a little bit of a tone in it. Nothing big, but just enough that she replied with, "Thank you for your candor." And I went, "Oh, you've been to training on that, haven't you?" That was good. That was just the way it should have been. And I even thanked her for her very diplomatic response. I wasn't mean, but I was not me. And I needed to be reminded of it too. Because I'm a member of this church too. And I need the reassurance. And I need somebody to throw water on me when I'm all flamed up. So if you're wondering what this church should be when it grows up, I hope you'll agree with me, but it must come from you too. That our job is as a constant reminder of how to be easier in the world, so that we can make the world an easier place. And that this is where we come when we forget it. So that we can say to one another, "Thank you for your candor." Please rise for our closing hymn.